Well, hey there, Hudson Henry here in my beautiful home, Portland, Oregon, for the holiday season. And this is Approaching the Scene. It's a series of videos that I put out every Thursday. And for this week, I just want to share one of my favorite videos from my core photography training course. It's one of the videos in it that are kind of inspirational, and I hope that this holiday season it'll help you think about connecting a little deeper with your subjects when you're out photographing, and also looking for some local knowledge to help you with scouting and to get a better connection with places that you're going out to photograph. So I really hope you enjoy the video. If it's at all possible, I think that if you're telling the story of a place in particular, connecting with people in that place can just be incredibly invaluable. What we did was doing an image search on Google, looking at photos of the Bears Ears region. You know, this one photographer, Tim Peterson's work really stood out. He'd been examining it from every issue. It seemed like each one of his images was well thought out, well planned, well executed, told a story. And so, you know, calling him up on the phone, he was excited to work with us to show us some of what's special about Bears Ears, connect us with some other people who are here in this region. Tim's been photographing this region and working to help create the National Monument for the last over 20 years. And it just really proved invaluable connecting with these people who are so rooted in this place.
I've been a pretty serious photographer since I was about 12 years old. I would go out hiking a lot with friends. I came home one day from another hike and my mom said to me, "No one is going to give you a job hiking around and taking pictures." And at that point I sort of took it as a challenge. Utah is so diverse and Bears Ears is so diverse, but what you most often see are sandstone or Valley of the Gods or the places that photographers are drawn to, particularly photographers from a different place or from a different climate, because it's unlike anything they've ever seen. So you end up with photographs of a place that really looks like Mars. I was very intentional as we began to work on the protection of Bears Ears. There needed to be images made of this place that were green, that showed trees, that showed water, that showed wildflowers. I really saw my niche in this work visually and in telling the story of showing a place that is lush and verdant and green. When I first started working with Indigenous people, not working with, but really working in support of them, working at their direction in order to help preserve Bears Ears. I had been knocking around here for 19 years. I thought I knew the place. I thought I knew it really well. And then I started spending time with cultural and religious leaders from these tribes, and I started to realize that I don't know this place at all. There are so many more dimensions active here and working here. There are places that have great meaning and great significance that go beyond just a beautiful scene. There are a lot of places, particularly on Cedar Mesa, that are overdone. You know, places like Mesa Arch or Horseshoe Bend, or places that every photographer seems to have to sort of tick off on their list. And it's gotten to the point where at Mesa Arch, every single day, weekday, 365 days a year, there's a huge crowd at Mesa Arch at sunrise, to the point where skirmishes have broken out over tripod position. And that's an example of what you don't want to happen to a place. It's always important to practice the utmost respect when visiting cultural sites. If they're not sites that are well-traveled and are well-known, it's really important, especially if you happen to stumble across and you happen to find sensitive things, not to include enough of the surrounding terrain that somebody could figure out where it is. What's most important is that cell phones and cameras, if your GPS is on or if your camera automatically collects GPS data, don't shoot a sensitive site and upload it to the internet with the geotag on it, because that can guide someone to exactly where that is. There's software available to strip the location out of the EXIF data if your camera does it already. If you're using your phone, turn your location off. But it's really, really important not to take a sensitive site and post it to the internet so people know exactly where it is. generally stay out of dwellings. It may be a great photo to have a photo of you and your dog looking out a window and waving, but that's really not going to sustain that site into the future. If you see pottery, it's generally best not to disturb it. Don't climb on roofs, don't climb on the walls, don't lean on the walls, don't even touch the walls. Photography has lots of potential for good and for it to be used ethically, and there's a lot of potential for it to be manipulated and for people to use it unethically, but it's about more than just capturing a scene. It's about telling a story, and it's about connecting it to people, and photography brings you to a place that you might not ever otherwise be able to visit. It can awaken a desire to see a place or to protect a place or to preserve a place. Once you start to really connect with the place, when you really slow down, when you really start to know the ins and outs and the folds of the place, it begins to give you a better sense of how to connect your own deeper feelings and your own deeper relationship with the place. It's so much more meaningful than just racing to one location at the right time of day, grabbing a shot and getting back in your car and leaving. It's about slowing down. It's about connecting with the place. It's about searching for a view that you think might exist and then not finding it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. It just means that there's something to do the next time.
All right, well, I really hope you enjoyed that video. Again, it's from my core photography training course, and that's on sale right now for a really low price, $49.99. It's only gonna be that way through Friday, the 21st. So if you're interested in it, check it out. It's really a limited time offer to get that for a really good deal. And it's a really comprehensive photography training course, and it forms kind of the base for all the advanced courses that are coming later. And I'm gonna be coming out with a whole bunch of advanced courses really soon. Again, this is approaching the scene. It's really designed to be a photographic conversation with the community about all things photographic. So if you have questions, please send them to questions@hudsonhenry.com. And over the last week, because of the 3 videos that I did on the Nikon Z cameras, I've just gotten a rash of questions, and overwhelmingly about the fact that they only stop down to f5.6 in live view. You know, people are a little confused, thinking, well, does it only stop down to f5.6 that I can see in any way? Well, there is a depth of field preview button. You can touch that button and see exactly what the sensor's seeing through your chosen aperture. But the problem that I have with it is that that's not on by default, even if you're in manual focus. And I think it's something that Nikon did to help with the autofocus, just to keep that aperture wider to help them get a better autofocus system. But the problem is, you know, you've got to touch your finger on the depth of field preview button to see what's going on at the aperture that you've selected. And if you take your finger off that button, it stops showing you that aperture beyond 5.6. It only shows a stop down aperture between, you know, wide open and 5.6. And so the problem for me is when I'm setting up in the landscape and I really want to check focus from foreground to background, I want to have it just left stop down. I don't want to have to hold my finger on the button as I'm checking it. So hopefully that's something that they can fix in firmware. It seems a simple fix to be able to have a setting where if you push the depth of field preview button, it locks down, and then you press it again and it goes back to wide open, at least in manual focus. So again, if you have more questions, send them to questions@hudsonhenry.com. I hope everybody's having a fantastic holiday season. I know mine has so far been filled with friends, family, food. The kiddos are having a blast. My little boy Pike is about to turn 3, and my little girl Pepper's 1.5 years, and they are really enjoying Christmas. So I hope everybody else is having a happy holiday, whatever holiday you celebrate, and we'll see you next week.